You alright, dude? Feels pretty good in here to me.
So my feelings on Everest is, hey, at least got a free t-shirt.
So this movie tells the true tale of two expeditions that were on their way to the final summit of Mount Everest, when a violent storm strikes and the fight for survival begins.
So I'm going to start out with the positives. And that is, I saw this movie in IMAX 3D, and if you're going to see this film, that is the way to see it because it is just beautiful. Half the time I was like, is this like special effects for like when they're at the very top? Because I mean, they really went to Nepal to film this, but they never left like the first base camp. But you can never tell; it looks so real.
It was definitely at a lot of times hard to tell what was CGI and what was real cinematography because they did do a really great job just filming it, and there was so many just breathtaking shots of the Himalayas and Mount Everest, obviously, and even the CGI was great too.
Yeah.
So,
but that doesn't save the movie, in my opinion, because yes, it is breathtaking to look at, but it's also very boring, in my opinion. And to me, it's just a shame because when you have a cast that includes Jake Gyllenhaal, Jason Clarke, Keira Knightley shows up, Robin Wright's in it for a split second, and then you have Sam Worthington, Josh Brolin, John Hawkes. That's a mouthful. And I was really like, when I was watching the trailers for this, I was like, this is really an impressive cast, and I can't wait to see it. Well, then the red shirts come in, and then there's like 30 people freaking climbing this mountain. I'm just like, who's who? What jacket was Jake Gyllenhaal wearing? Oh, only 8 of them are wearing blue. He kind of gets lost in the jumble of all things. And, I mean, you really got to remember, okay, Jason Clarke's wearing red, John Hawkes is wearing yellow, and it's kind of like, okay.
It does, like, introduce, like, the main crew at the beginning, but then, like, once they get to Camp 1, and there's all these other people, and there's the South Africans, and there's Jake Gyllenhaal's crew, it's just, like, a whole mess of people that you're kind of, like, once they're on the mountain, you're like, oh, you know, it's just the crew of people climbing the mountain, you're like...
I mean, I feel like Jake Gyllenhaal was just wasted. I mean, I love Jake Gyllenhaal, and I feel like he's literally in this movie for like 15 minutes, it feels like.
Him and Keira Knightley kind of have their, just a few moments, really. Like
Keira Knightley's in this to lay on a bed and cry.
And talk on the phone.
Yeah, that's all she does. I was like, okay, she's a great actress. Why is she only doing this? I mean, we're not trying to poke holes at this movie, though. I mean, I know you actually liked it a lot.
I really enjoyed it.
I mean, this is actually a tragic tale, and I didn't know about this going into the film. I mean, I knew this was going to be a true story, but I was quite shocked about how many people ended up losing their lives to this event. And, I mean, it would keep you on the edge of your seats if you were more attached to the characters. So that's my opinion on it, because I felt like they didn't give enough time because there's so many characters going through this that I didn't have time to latch on to anybody. They try to flesh out Josh Brolin the most, and I feel like they do the best job with him out of all the characters. So I like that aspect.
What made, you know, the movie the most enjoyable for me was just how moving the story was, and towards the end as well, especially.
I mean, it did tug at your heartstrings, and I know what it was going for, so I can give it to you. Like I said, I'm not trying to be like, oh, this movie is terrible. I'm just really disappointed because it has so much potential that I feel like it didn't reach for me.
I kind of appreciate the way it was filmed when, you know, people did die on the mountain, and it just didn't necessarily show their death, you know. Not the shot you would expect, but rather just the shot of them falling from, you know, the climber's point of view, and not the camera doesn't.
Yeah, it never left
them.
It just fell out of frame.
So it kind of gives maybe the viewer, at least for me, it gave me this sense of like, oh, like I felt scared for the character, and it doesn't give you that closure either of what really happens to them. Is obviously they fell off the side of Mount Everest. They're gone.
But one thing's for sure, I will never, ever climb Mount Everest.
Probably won't either.
So Everest, for me, this is a beautifully shot movie The cast is so talented, but wasted and used so sporadically that I can't get invested in most of these characters, and it doesn't carry the weight for me that is trying to. Now, it tells a tragic tale. I mean, I wasn't engrossed into it. I wanted to see who survived, but this is something that it's hard for me to recommend, even though it's beautiful to look at. And for that reason, I'm going to give it 5.5 reels out of 10.
See, yeah, like you said, there was a lot of good talent in the movie. Maybe not necessarily the camera time that you would have wanted, right? But I guess the story weighed a little heavier for me. It was a moving story and true story. The shots were great, Mount Everest, Nepal, Himalayas, and the CGI was great too. And I found the movie, pretty enjoyable. 8 reels out of 10.
And this has been our review of Everest.
And remember, if you like the review, go ahead and like us and subscribe down below.
This is The Real Report. Thanks for watching.